Good morning and welcome everyone to a special edition of today's DoMoreLife live stream. I am joined by the world infamous or famous, however you decide to look at it.
It depends on who you hang out with.
That's right. Depends on who you hang out with. Good morning, Alal. Good to see you. I am here with Reekay, who has accepted my invitation to come on and talk about this traveling chaos that we've been experiencing in 2021. Little background here. Reekay and I have never met in person, but we've gotten to know each other online a little bit and through some mutual friends.
For a couple years now.
Yeah. It's been a couple. Yeah, it has been a couple of years. We share a lot of common interests in terms of where we like to travel and some other
same
things.
Friends too. You know Mike. They're in Thailand, and I've known Mike. I think for about 3-4 years back. So yeah, just a lot of common friends and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And you've been on live streams here before, so it's good to have you back, man. I really appreciate the short notice I gave you on coming on, but probably worked out pretty well for you.
We were gonna do it tomorrow, but I already had a family party to go to tomorrow. I didn't know if I'd be back in time or not. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here, and I think everybody else will be as well. So, Mike says he's correcting you. You've been friends for 5 years, by the way.
5 years now. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Mike's an awesome guy. I just spoke to him literally right before you came in the studio. So, I guess we'll get started. What I want to tell my people, my channel members, my subscribers today is where I normally stop every single time and catch every single comment. That probably won't be the case today, but the value to the channel will be more because I can let Reekay explain, but I can tell you he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and it's good to get his experience on these issues that we like to talk about, because right now Thailand is in and I'm just speaking for Thailand, and I read the news on the Philippines, and of course I keep up with American news as well. So you're in America right now.
I'm in California.
Yeah, you had to escape the chaos of traveling around and that kind of thing.
I mean, I was doing okay with it with my girlfriend V, but then my mom was having some issues, which now have been resolved. You know, she did end up in ICU, and so that was the main, tiebreaker. I was like, I got to get back to California, but fortunately, she's fantastic now. She got treated, and all that. So
that's great to hear. I have friends over there who are in the same situation, particularly with their elderly parents. Some of it has to do with COVID, some of it does not, So subjects I wanted to touch on today were, of course, what's going on in Thailand, what's going on in the Philippines. Your girlfriend's there, so I'm sure you're still keeping very detailed. In fact, I'm in enough groups with you, or we're in mutual groups that I know you know what's going on. So we'll talk about Thailand. We'll talk about the Philippines. Briefly, we'll talk about your experience in Vietnam and just how much that has changed. Because I think the Vietnam experience has changed. I know it's been Jason from Asian Unscripted has informed me very well of how bad that situation's gotten. And now here in Thailand, we're looking at literally quoting from this is not a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing, but quoting from news articles, we're looking at a potential 3-month Wuhan style lockdown, where they literally will not let you leave the house. They want you to order your food and water and have it come out, be brought to you. And, my personal situation, as everyone knows, I'm already partially furloughed at work. We're getting by on AdSense and contributions from the channel here. So it's a rough situation, and it's played hell on some expats, business owners. It's just been a mess. So real quick before we get started, I want to say thank you to Robert for putting the PayPal link in the description. I will pin that to the top. Guys, you are still welcome. Just to let you know, you're still welcome to throw out any challenges that you might have today. And with that being started, I'm going to let Reekay start off and just talk about where the Philippines are right now, because a lot of you guys ask me about the Philippines and ask about what can be done over there. Should I go to the Philippines? Should I go to Thailand? And so what's your interpretation on the ground and in the Philippines right now, Reekay?
Well, much of it is already known. Of course, there's no tourist visa still, no change on that, so you can't get in on a tourist visa. A lot of the guys that I've been talking to have been contacting me about, they're in the Philippines right now. And their dilemma is that they know that their 3-year limit's going to come up to 36 consecutive months that they're allowed on the tourist visa. Now, the only resolution really is one of two things: is either get the SRRV, which they're, as far as I know, they went back to processing about 2-3 months ago, because for a while there it was shut down. So one option is, depending on how much time you have left on your 3-year visa, one option is to pursue, I think it blacked out there, is to pursue the SRRV, because then you could leave and come back in. There's, in fact, I think they even got rid of the other requirement. There was like a side requirement to the SRRV, and they dropped that. So that's one option, one solution, one situation that the guys are facing who are in the Philippines. Their other option is to get married while they're in the Philippines, and then start working on the, I believe it's called the 9A spousal visa, which would allow them to get back in. So that's one thing that I've been hearing the most of, is guys that are looking at their deadline there. Now, for the rest of us who are outside the Philippines and want to get back in, there is one company, just one that I know of, which has a patent, and I did a video about them, called WebWed. You can Google them. They're WebWed, and you can, the way that they do the IP addresses, and that's what's key, is the way they do the IP addresses, you can, like, say for instance, you can be in Texas, and your Filipina could be in Davao, and you can get married online, and because of the way they do the IP addresses, they locate everybody online as if they were in Utah, or one of the, I think it's 7 different states in the United States that officiates online weddings. Not every state does, but that's as a point of origin. Now, you can be in a state that is not, set up this way, but because your IP address is run through one of the states that does officiate legally the marriage from that state, even though you're not, I know Utah is one of them, even though you're not in Utah, virtually you are. Even though she's not in Utah, virtually she is, and so is the officiator. So one pathway to get back into the Philippines is a little expensive, but then you get married online, you get a real and true and valid marriage certificate, valid in the entire world, in the entire United States, the entire world, and it's acknowledged by the Philippines. Now, at this point, you're both married. So at that point, you can go to the embassy and say, hey, I've got a Filipina wife. I want to enter because, again, I'm married to a Filipina. And there are some guys, you can go to my channel and just type in WebWed, Life Beyond the Sea, and you can find the video. Maybe I'll send you the link. You could put it in the comments later. But there are 2 guys that I know for sure who have done this and gotten into the Philippines. And I'm assuming there's other guys that have been doing this too. So that's one avenue to get back into the Philippines, and that's for guys that don't mind being married. Now, there's some other requirements, like the fact that within 1 year, 12 months prior, this is the tricky part. You have to show that you actually, were physically with the Filipina. So if it's been more than a year, it's going to be hard to prove the relationship. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just going to be really hard. The other
Right.
thing is, if you've only, like, say you only met her in the last, say, 12 months during this whole COVID thing, you've never met her in person at all, then it's just not going to work. You can get married, that part you can do, but getting into the Philippines, that's the part that's not going to work.
Right.
And then here's another thing is that, let's say you get married to the Filipina, you're legally married, but that's not enough for USA immigration. They're not going to let her in just because you got married online. USA is far more strict than the Philippines is. So there's the spousal route. There's also one last route. And again, this is only going to apply for some other guys, for some people. There you can get what is called the SIRV. So if you're outside the Philippines, you apply for the SIRV through the nearest Philippine consulate or embassy. And from what I read up on it, it's a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, we're talking like 2 months or less. Now, the key thing, most guys can probably pass you got to be over 21 years old. You have to be never convicted of being mentally disturbed. That's one of the requirements. Another requirement is you have to get a basic checkup and just show that you don't have some weird, bizarre, disease. You don't have rabies. You don't have whatever. You're just basically in good health. And the key one is you have to have 75,000 liquid cash that you could access and invest in the Philippines. This is where the SI, the investor, visa comes in. What happens is they approve you. If you meet all the requirements, then you get into the Philippines. And once you're there, you have 6 months to put the 75,000 into a specified list of companies to invest into. Buying a condo does not count, not for the investor visa. It has to be somebody on this list, and this is kind of like a sampling from what we would call like the NYSE or the NASDAQ. They have a list of companies, and specifically, they do not let you invest in condos. You can invest in construction companies, but not in buying a condo for yourself. And so those are the main obstacles and a couple of solutions. Again, it's not perfect, it's not easy, it's not cheap, but it is possible to get back in the Philippines that way.
Well, sounds like at least there are a few options. I wasn't aware that I didn't know for sure that the tourist visas were still not closed, because you get a lot of just like Thailand, things change every day.
No tourist visas. Immigration hasn't said a peep about reinstating. They haven't even talked about it. So tourist visas are like completely off the table.
Well, I guess that to contrast that a little bit with what's going on in Thailand, you can get here, so you can still come and do your 14-day quarantine, ASQ quarantine in like Bangkok, and whether you are vaccinated or not, you can come and do that. You can also do for fully vaccinated tourists, which means you've had your 2 jabs or your 1 jab, depending on which vax you choose. And by the way, let me say hello and good morning to Asia Unscripted and Scotty B, who have joined us. And Asia Unscripted says he got his 2nd jab today, so far so good. I'm glad to hear that, because my first jab, which I received last Sunday, I want to say. I think Sunday, yeah. Put me out for about 20 hours. So it's a good thing. We'll talk about that a little later. But right now, coming into Thailand, you can do the standard 14-day ASQ, where you're locked in a hotel room for 14 days. Definitely wouldn't be the way I would go, but many people have done it this way. It's really expensive. this is more, in my opinion, for people who are looking to, it's like expats returning that have girlfriends, wives, families over here, that kind of thing, that just want to get back in the country. The other option is
just real quickly, how much is the cost for the 2-week isolation?
If you get it, so you can get it lower or higher than this number, but to get a good, we have a channel member, Anon, who has just went through this process, and it was about, I believe that he quoted 51,800 baht. So you're looking at, after all the delivery food he ordered and everything else, you're probably looking at right at 2,000, about 2,000 US. Now, he stayed in a little bit more of an not an upscale, but it's not like the bottom tier, right? Hotel, certainly nothing like you paid, or nothing like you had to stay in during your ordeal in the Philippines. But that's doing the hotel room, and the 3 tests, which you still have to pay for. But I believe they package all that in together. Mike's actually saying we paid 45,000 baht for Gracie's 2-week queue here in Bangkok, which that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Speaking of Mike and Gracie again, really quick, for those who don't know, I imagine everybody already does know, but for those who don't, they're married now, and just wanted to say publicly congratulations. And as he mentioned in a previous comment, now he's got the option of returning to the Philippines, should Thailand dry up for whatever reason. So just wanted to say, congratulations, and very happy for the both of you. I got to talk to Mike a lot online when she was gone. Now I don't get any time with him.
Yeah, I go through Mike withdrawals from time to time myself. I understand.
but you can always catch him on his channel. So check out his channel.
That's true. That's true. Live My Ass Off is a good. It's a channel that'll make you think. That's the best way for me to describe it. It's a channel that'll make you think, and if you follow some simple suggestions, it'll make you grow too. One of my channel members, Philthos, has said that online marriage at least seems like it would offer better divorce contingencies than trying to get a divorce or annulment if in the fields, if needed. To the best of my understanding, Reekay, unless something's changed, you can't divorce a Filipina, can you?
Well, here's what happens. Let's say that a person does marry a Filipina virtually online through WebWed. Any other company I cannot vouch for, because as far as I understand, again, WebWed is international and has a patent on the IP. It virtually says that you're in Utah or one of the 7 states that officiates online weddings. So once you marry her through online, it's no different than if you married her in the United States or you married her in the Philippines. You're married. You're 100% married to that Filipina. Now, part of the process is that in order to come into the Philippines, the wedding documents, which have to be originals and apostilled and all that, have to be submitted to a certain court. I forget what court it is, but it's basically just so that a judge can look at these documents and say, yes, these are real documents. That there's no judgment on the wedding other than these are real documents. It's a valid marriage in the United States. That then gets filed with Vital Statistics in Manila, which then changes her CNMR. So you're now married in the United States virtually. The marriage is now recorded in Manila, and her CNMR has been changed. So you're now at that point, Philippines has officially recognized your legal marriage. So now getting back to the comment before about divorce, it's not going to make getting divorced any easier than if you had married them in the Philippines or the United States. It's going to be the same exact process. Now, what a lot of guys don't know is just as the Philippines acknowledges a marriage from any other country, the Philippines acknowledges a divorce from any other country, even though they themselves
Ah,
do not give their citizens the option to get divorced. So if you're married to a Filipina and then it all, goes south and you separate and you're doing your thing, she's doing her thing, hopefully there's no kids involved. And then you meet another Filipina and you're like, wow, I want to get married again, but you can't because you're
yeah,
married to this Filipina. And a lot of guys think you're married forever because no divorce in the Philippines.
right,
Well, the avenue out is that you go back to your home country. That sucks. You go back to your home country. You reestablish your residency. It's different for every country. Like in the United States, you have to be 6 months in California before you can file for a divorce. So you got to complete the residency requirement first. Then you file for the divorce. Then you have her served. You can have somebody served internationally. And then you file that with the court. And then in California, again, every state's different. But in California, there's a 6-month period. And if it's not contested, you then put in a motion for default. And then once you do that, again, if the judge and everybody looks at it and says, okay, the other person obviously has no objection to this divorce, dissolution, and they go ahead and proceed, then you get what's called the actual, what's the official term for it? It's the actual judgment of dissolution from the judge. At that point, you are now divorced in your country. You can now fly back to the Philippines and show that to anybody, any judge, whatever, because usually they ask you, where's your divorce papers? Now, here's the
right.
key thing that a lot of expats don't know. You not only are you divorced from the Filipina because the Philippines acknowledges all divorces from other countries, the Filipina is also divorced. So she too is free to then remarry. So there's no need to get an annulment because she has a valid divorce. Yeah, she has. Because let's say that the Filipina and the expat had moved to, say, the United States, lived together for 8 years. Now they hate each other. They get a divorce in the United States. She goes back to the Philippines, a divorced woman. She's not married anymore. So that's how it works.
I'm sure you just answered a huge question for many expats that have been locked into that type of thinking. Because just point out
I did ask Jeremy if I could shamelessly plug my cup.
Of course,
I showed it to
absolutely.
Jeremy before we started.
I actually have DoMoreLife coffee mugs that I sell too, and I haven't even bought myself one yet. I definitely need to do that. But
I waited
my channel
until
members,
I got here because of the delivery.
Yeah, totally. He says, I joined Mike's channel last week or the week before I started with the series Thailand. You should see this. That is a good series, by the way, over on Live My Ass Off. If you guys want to go check that out. So in Thailand, divorce and marriage is very, I would say, similar to Western marriage and divorce. It's not there's no real lock-in to my knowledge. My guys will let me know if I'm wrong on this, but to the best of my knowledge, there's no it seems like it would be a simpler process because you could just go. I know a guy that was married here and they went to Malaysia and they just got a simple uncontested divorce and that was it. It was over. So I actually know a guy personally that has been married for 12 years. They stay married because of visa options, right? And, he wants to make sure he can stay here. And yet they live completely separate lives, which is not something I would recommend doing, by the way, because if immigration gets word of that, you could run into some problems. But so getting back to the main focus here, which is traveling, tourism, and really the difficulties that we've seen, but kind of what, I don't know about you, Reekay, but I tried a long time ago I've been in Thailand over 3 years now. So I'm kind of familiar with how the government works and how their their way of thinking, the way they put stuff out. Usually it works kind of like this, and you guys can agree with me or not. They'll put something out. You'll see it in the media. Like, for example, this 3-month lockdown that they're talking about doing, which mind blown. But they're talking about locking everything down completely for 3 months, at least in these dark red zones that they've classified. And usually, if it comes out in the media that the CCSA, which is the Center for Communicable Disease, something, whatever, here in Thailand, if they publish something like that in the media, it tends to get implemented fairly soon, I would say, sooner rather than later. And usually it comes with a couple little tweaks here and there. For example, we went under a 14 days to slow the spread here about 11 days ago and 12 days ago. And since then, the cases have just been rising. And for my Thai guys that are interested in Thailand, just to give you a brief update real quick, I'm sorry, pulling up my phone here. Yesterday's cases were over. So we've been steadily increasing since the 20th of July. So like this, a little bit over 11,000, 13,000, 13,600, 14,500, and today 14,200. And we also had 119 deaths today. So it's, it gets me going on the whole question of the lockdowns and do they work and that kind of thing, which we don't have to really discuss that today because, I don't want to get myself in any trouble or anybody else. But at this point, I've seen what COVID has ravaged Thailand. I'm not sure what the Philippines looks like internally right now, but I can imagine. I still have a few contacts there in the Philippines that I speak with, and they say that it's pretty bad. But one thing you generally don't see here in Thailand is homelessness. Like, you just don't see people laying on the streets in cardboard. For example, if you go, you know very well, if you go Cebu, certain places, or Manila, especially in Manila, certain places, you find guys laying on cardboard on the side of the street all the time. But here in Thailand, you don't really see a lot of homelessness.
If they're lucky to have cardboard.
Exactly. And we are seeing that on the rise. We are seeing the Thai people actually start to, because one reason I enjoyed Thailand more than the Philippines was because of the crime factor. Like, even though you can stay out of trouble in the Philippines if you know how to do it, and you've made videos on that on your channel, Life Beyond Sea, which I encourage you guys to check out. You've made plenty of videos on that in the past. I remember watching some that you made years ago about going out at 2 or 3 in the morning in Cebu, going to get a hot dog or whatever, right? So, and how to be safe doing it. But here in Thailand, even in Bangkok, like, I've never been scared or I had one little issue in Pattaya one time that made me a little bit nervous, but there was still nothing happened. And we see petty crime on the rise. For example, the other day, somebody ran off with the donation box from a facility that was that's meant for disabled people. So they just grabbed the donation box and ran off with it. And you see that happening a lot here. And it's been it's been a mess watching the slow decline of one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Some of the most beautiful scenery on earth is just untapped and void of people, void of activity, and void of life, really, because of the business closures and the restrictions that have been put in place. I lost Reekay for a minute. Maybe he'll be back in just a second. But But I was just wondering, good morning, Stuck in Florida. It's great to see you, by the way. Thank you very much for showing up. Appreciate that. I'm sure Reekay's got the link, so I'll see what happened to him. I'm sure he'll be back in just a second. There he comes. So let's take this comment off and put Reekay back in there. There he is.
Yeah, sorry about that. We actually had a true brownout. We lost power for like 2 seconds, just enough to kick off the router. So I had to wait for the router to restart.
Oh, no problem. Hey, here it takes routers about 5 minutes to restart, so no worries. But what I've seen during this COVID situation is I've seen a lot of mismanagement when it comes to how people are handling the situation itself. And I mean, the people and the governments and other entities, the government entities that really it almost seems like they're so back and forth. And I was just wondering if, I know America is going through some the Delta stuff right now, and it's looking like there could be more and more of that coming up. Here in Thailand, the Delta variant has pretty much just caused havoc and chaos, and the Thai people are just absolutely afraid, scared to death of COVID. They're absolutely terrified of it. So I read some of your comments and that kind of thing, and your personal stance. It's like I told people, me getting the jab was a split-second decision that I made, and the fundamental core reason I made it was for travel options here in Thailand. And I know that sounds bad. It's something that I openly admitted. I caved to social pressure, which is something that I vowed to never, ever do again. But I did it. It's done. I'm a grown man, and I have to live with the consequences. So I'm just wondering, what do you think people will? What do you think it's going to take to get some of these Southeast Asian countries going again? Is it just the vaccine? Is it just the therapeutics? Is it the frame of mind that people are operating in? Because I think I think it's a combination of many things, but I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I look at Singapore. Singapore, as far as I know, they reached just about 70%, maybe it was 60%, 70% vaccination rate for Singapore. And they did what I felt was a very positive move. They basically said, well, we've got a high number of people already vaccinated. The number of people who we count as cases, which is simply a person who tested positive for COVID, okay? Singapore basically said, we're going to stop freaking out about how many people got tested positive for COVID. In other words, COVID cases, okay? They're looking at those cases the way I've been saying for the longest time, that pretty much 98% of the people who are a case who show up positive for COVID, within 2 weeks, they're going to be fine. 98% of them. They're going to be fine. Right. And they're just as good as inoculated because now they have organically developed antibodies. So you have to count those people in with the number of people who have been vaccinated. Both groups have the antibodies to COVID, which is a good thing. So when I see a headline, 3,000 cases, to me, that says in 2 weeks, that's as good as 3,000 people getting vaccinated because they're going to naturally have those antibodies. And that's how Singapore's looking at it. So to answer your question, I think that they've set a good template if just the other countries would listen. And I think eventually they will, because You know, unfortunately, some, you know, it's this way in groups. It's this way, you know, is it takes one person to take that step forward, then everybody else, you know, now they're like, okay, well, since they did it, we'll do it too. They don't have really the balls to be the first guy out on the dance floor or whatever.
Right.
So hopefully, my hope is that Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam will take that same approach, but the caveat is they're going to have to get a high, whatever they consider to be a high number of vaccinated people. Some countries might say, hey, 40%, pretty darn good. Because you have to remember, it's different for each country. Philippines did a dengue vax campaign 3 years ago, and the best they did was 35% people inoculated.
Let me stop you right there real quick. Just kind of, hang on, let me get in my camera here. Just got to PayPal, only $3, but thank you very much, Mr. James. I appreciate that, and well, I very much appreciate it. That's probably more than the AdSense we'll make on this video, so thank you very much for that. You were talking about dengue. Do you know I was one of the people that got that dengue shot? Mm-hmm. That didn't work. Go ahead, please continue.
Yeah. When, for those who missed it, the news 3 years ago, a dengue vaccine was put out under similar situations as now, where it was tested, but it really hadn't been, you know, field tested en masse across the country. And the only people that jumped on it was India and the Philippines. They were the only ones who said, we've got a big enough problem with dengue, give it to us. So India and Philippines jumped all over it. And next thing you know, kids as little as 9 to 15 years old were having heart attacks. And, you know, you can look this up. There's a whole documentary by Asia 101, I think, did a documentary on it. Very well done. And so what happened as a result was they only reached 35% inoculation rate in the Philippines. And now, 3 years later, a lot of Filipinos, back then, the confidence rate with vaccines was 85%. It dropped down to 30% now because of the dengue vax problems. You know, kids were dying.
Right.
So now it's gotten so bad that a lot of Filipinos are scared of the new vaccine that's available, to the point that they're even afraid of the proven vaccines, like the polio vaccine. So polio is starting to make a reappearance in the Philippines, all because of the dengue vax, you know, quagmire. So getting back to what is it going to take for them to open up, it's going to take a lot of, you know, whatever the magic number they decide that they can point at. For Philippines, I mean, right now, I think they're still under 20%. I think they're more like 15% at best. I mean, I don't even think it's that much. But if they somehow manage to reach 30% vaccination in the Philippines, that's going to be a major accomplishment. But it's nowhere near the 70% of Singapore. So my position has always been, I mean, money talks. And governments just need something they can point at to say, okay, we got this thing going on. We're going to open up the business. We're going to open up domestically, internationally, even if that thing they're pointing at isn't the real reason. Because the real reason is not that countries need tourism so much, but their own economy, any economy, requires that money moves around in order to keep the taxes going to the state and all that kind of stuff, you know. Right. So anyway, so that's my thoughts on it. I know it doesn't give a date or anything, but I believe that's the mechanics that are going to have to happen behind it. Because what no government wants to really do is open it up, not really have something to point at, and then if all hell breaks loose, or it's just going to be unavoidable. You're going to have people who are going to be hospitalized, people who are going to die from COVID. And that's, you know, I'm a realist. To me, it's like that's a part of life. And Singapore took the same approach. Singapore said, we simply count it as one of the other many things. You could get AIDS, you could get, cancer. You know, it's just one of the other things you could die from, you know, and they get on with life. So the big hang up all of us are stuck with is that we're not the ones making the decisions. The governments are making the decisions, and a lot of these politicians are more concerned with their next election or their current, residents in office, that they don't want to. Now, here's where I can say that listening to the videos of Gwen Garcia, the governor of Cebu, she has been very outspoken in looking at the facts, looking at how the lockdowns have had probably, arguably, more caused more pain and damage, starvation, and death than COVID ever could have, the lockdowns. And she's encouraging people to eat healthy, to eat fruits, eat vegetables, get out in the sunshine. I don't have to applaud her for getting out there and saying what has to be said. So I hope that more politicians will emulate Gwen Garcia, Governor Gwen Garcia, and really just take a more realistic approach rather than the militant, let's just lock everybody down, that'll make it go away. How has that worked out in the last 15 months? It hasn't.
I could not agree more with the way that you said that, Reekay, to be honest. For me, every time here, and here's what I do. I just simply go to there's never been, in my personal opinion, there's never been a truer statement than someone when they once said, numbers don't lie, right? The only question is, are we actually getting the right numbers? That's my only question. So I assume, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorist types that buy into everything I hear. I assume that the numbers that they're putting out are the actual numbers. And every single time that we go into a lockdown, or that we have, these burdened, heavy travel restrictions, which causes businesses to close, which causes the shutdown of people's livelihoods, tremendous economic damage. I see perpetual states of depression amongst people, and I see the cases of COVID, the cases of infections go up. Now that's just the numbers. Friday night, we have to be careful on this channel when we start talking about the actual science there. I'm going to remove your comment just because we don't talk about the actual technology or the strict names of the vaccines themselves. No offense to you. Please don't get upset with me. That's just a YouTube safety precaution. But I see the numbers go up, Reekay, and then I see what hurts me even more is the Thai people are just calm, chill, cool, collected, thoughtful people. They just are. I don't know if it's the Buddhist. Buddhism is not religion, but it's kind of a lifestyle, right? So it's the sabai, let things roll, water off a duck's back kind of thing. But at some point, they get to this level where it's like, but I can't feed my family because I can't open my business. What am I supposed to do? And the government comes along and says, okay, we're going to give you 3,000 baht for a month. Well, 3,000 baht is about $100 US. Okay. Unless you're living in, somewhere in a remote village in Isan, $100 is just not going to do it. And it's not even going to come close. Thankfully, like the Philippines, the support system that the Thai people build have kids, they support us, that kind of thing. There is a social security system here in Thailand, but it's almost like it's in its infancy phase, and they're learning how to structure it and learning how to use it for going back and helping people. I just personally don't see any other way to boost people's confidence, especially here where they're walking around with 2 masks. They're double masked up, and I'm thinking, how do you people even breathe? Because I walk around with we went out to shop for. I'm going to be applying for a lot of online teaching jobs this weekend and into next week. So we went out for supplies to set up my virtual classroom, right? The maps on the walls and all that stuff. And I'm out for 2 or 3 hours, and I have this mask on.
Yeah.
I'm personally having trouble like breathing, literally. So I'm thinking to myself, how do these people work all day with 2 on? Or we go to Macro here, which is like Costco in America, right? We go here, and all the cashiers are gloved up, double mask, face shield, everything. And I'm all about individual choice and individual freedoms. If you feel like that's what you need to do for yourself, by all means do it. But me personally, it makes me so uncomfortable. And I also just I see, because I live here and I'm in such a big city. I see the sentiment of the pet. I see the life of the people just being sucked out of them, and if the life is being sucked out of the nationals here, imagine the expats like me that don't have we don't have. I don't have assets and other things back home. My only secondary source of income for the whole time I've been here, well, almost the whole time I've been here, has been this YouTube channel. And as the dynamic has changed with COVID becoming involved, so is the revenue from YouTube. Yeah. So it's like it's time to look for other sources, other means, and that kind of thing. And at this point, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether going back to America is the right thing to do, because I basically have to start over there anyway. Can I hold out here for another 3 or 4 months? Because the reason I say that, we got, as I was telling you right before we came on the stream here, I got new word yesterday that I probably wouldn't be off this half furlough situation, this partial furlough, until November now, when the second semester of school starts. So figuring out how to live is something that I haven't had to do in a long time, because I've gotten smart about things. So it's and I'm talking financially, and now it's like, do what if I'm going through this as an expat? My heart goes out to the Thai people here in the country, and same in the Philippines. I still have friends in the Philippines that I talk to, and unless they're working remotely online, which thankfully a lot of them are, but if they're not working remotely online, they're like, if they have laundry shops, for example, in the Philippines or something like that, or here in Thailand, they're basically out of business. They can't. Restaurants, you can forget it. You can't open. And alcohol bans are implemented here in the dark red zones. I will never understand the point of an alcohol ban. I don't even drink. Right, I haven't had a drink in over 10 years, so I don't even drink. But I don't understand the point of why you would ban alcohol. The reasoning behind it is the government says, drunk people do stupid things, and they would have gatherings and that kind of thing. But we're already restricted to. I agree, drunk people do stupid things, but we're already with the emergency decree sign. Now we're at a point where you can't have more than 5 people gathered together, and so that eliminates a lot of stuff. But you still find the lawbreakers who are throwing these gambling events or these online parties, with women, that kind of thing. They're trying to make a buck, and they're literally just trying to keep food on their table. And same thing because the nightlife industry is a very real thing here in Thailand. And the people that work in that industry, particularly the women, are finding that certain websites, I won't mention any names, I think we can all imagine, have become their source of revenue. And now they're getting arrested for it because it's technically illegal here. So the government won't let them do their regular job, right? They're informal workers, so they don't qualify for any Social Security. And now they get arrested and fined for trying to find a way to make more money. Right. How do you combat something like that? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, it's the unavoidable consequences. It's a domino effect. It's not hard to figure out. Now in the Philippines, I would say it's not as bad. From what you're describing in Thailand, when I left there in mid-April, lots of traffic on the road, pretty much normal capacity at the mall. Everybody's out grocery shopping. There's no isolation to your home. You can, now contrast that with like back in 2020, right about this time in 2020, only one person could leave the apartment at a time. Some of the guys may have seen my videos where I went out, or pictures I posted on Facebook, and I was out like at the intersection in front of Ayala Mall, and in all four directions, not one car, not one taxi, not one vehicle or motorbike on the road. It was like something out of zombie apocalypse. And but now, mid-April, they have at least then they didn't have the nightclubs open, but the restaurants were 50% capacity. So every other table you could go sit and eat at Pizza Hut, Jollibee, whatever. So Philippines has, for as much as they have locked down, it's still, you can move around. Now, the problem is that what's going on in, say, Cebu City, it's a whole different paradigm in Dumaguete, where trying to get from Cebu to Duma was for a while a real hassle. Like literally, like it was easier to get in the country than it was to get to Duma. It was like we had to have this paper and that letter, and it was just a nightmare. And it was like, it was nutty. Gio was over there in Valencia at the time, and every other week it was like, you got to have a plastic divider on the motorcycle. And then it was, okay, you don't need that anymore. Oh, but you have to have closed-toed shoes on your motorcycle. Okay, now that's not such a big deal. And then, I mean, it was constantly changing. I mean, you couldn't even get in and out of Valencia unless you proved that, you lived there. So, I mean, it's, for as much of a mishmash as it's been in the Philippines, up until mid-April, there was still more freedom and more business going on than what I've seen in like some of the vlogs for Thailand, where it's just, and same thing with Vietnam. Vietnam just, again, Jason over at Asia Unscripted, right before he left, I mean, it's gotten worse. He got out in the nick of time. Now they're doing like 30-day lockdowns, and they're isolating buildings if one person in there tests positive. Businesses have shut down. I mean, it's really gotten harsh, and they were one of the more lax in the beginning. So it's a lot has changed.
I agree. We experience right now what you're talking about. The Philippines had experienced. We are currently going through now. If you're in a dark red province, they have these color coded zones, and I believe you guys had like enhanced quarantine zones or something. You had different levels. Yeah, exactly. So we have the same thing going on here. And if you're in a dark red zone, now you have to go online, fill out a registration form of why you need to travel to another province. So if you're coming from a dark red province going to another province, then you have to go on to this whole thing about, why you need to be there, and then you have to have approval. They send you a QR code so that you can travel to and do those things. And I'm just wondering to myself, I'm like, that, they're going to get to a point. I read an article yesterday where it said that it could take Thailand 3 years to basically to end COVID.
Bounce back.
And here's my thing. You're not. Who's going to end COVID, right? Like with
nobody. Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Exactly, it's not going anywhere. And the faster. My point is, and back to your original when I asked you the first question, I agree. And I've been saying the same things over and over. And Lyle, I appreciate you doing keeping up with the thumbs up and thumbs down count, man, because we definitely have a lot of thumbs down, which I appreciate so much. That always lets us know that we're winning when we have some thumbs down. But I believe that the answer, at least here in this country, is going to be the mass rollout of vaccination. Thailand did not participate in I believe it was called the COVIDs or whatever that was, where all the Asian countries got together and bought into this vaccination program that ensured vaccines would be available. They didn't do it. They wanted to make their own deals for their vaccines. And now it appears as though Thailand is going to make an emergency effort to get into that. What's happened here is Thailand had a pretty good hold on everything because they had the entire country quarantined. Basically, they had, and when I say that, I don't mean that there was that people inside the country were quarantined. I mean they closed all the borders, and getting in here was damn near impossible. So for the longest time, you had the lowest numbers, you had the lowest mortality rate, you had the lowest everything, and then all of a sudden one day they decided we're going to start letting people come back in and quarantining when they come back in. And, we had a wave kickoff because of some construction workers. We had a wave kickoff because some expats misbehaving badly at a bar area in Bangkok, which kind of led us into this third or fourth, depending on how you look at it, wave. And now we're in a situation where if they don't roll out these jabs and get them in people, then they are. I don't know what else to do. I always tell people I'll do anything I can to help Thailand, anything. But I don't know what to tell people. I don't know what the people ask me all the time. Jeremy, if I make plans in January, will I be okay? To come? Can I come then? And I'm like, well, I don't know, because now the Phuket Sandbox, they had 2 separate programs. So you could come in on the Phuket Sandbox originally and do a 14-day queue there, but you do it on the island. So you're basically quarantined to the island. Semantics plays a big part in everything over here, just like I'm sure it does in the Philippines. So they refuse to call it a quarantine on the island. But I mean, when you're trapped, not trapped, but when you are being secluded to a certain location by the ranking authorities, what else do you call it, right? I call that a quarantine. So that was the original plan. Then you could travel around now, and then they were going to open up the Samui Plus model, which you could fly into Koh Samui. Then the rules were a little bit different, but basically the same concept. Now they've opened the Phuket Samui Plus whatever. They're doing something new so people can get in and try to bring back foreign tourism. And yet they've closed all the flights out of the dark red zones. I mean, it's absolutely, it's just absolutely hideous, and well, I don't want to say hideous. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think the again, there's a change in perspective that has to happen with the governments. They have to change the way what they're responding to, because right now they're responding to, oh, we got a bunch of cases. And see, what they should be responding to is, let's just deal with the hospitalizations and the deaths. Let's focus on those numbers. If it takes opening a bunch of hospital annexes to deal with the hospitalizations, do that. Because again, like I said, if they would look at the cases properly, these are a bunch of people who, for the most part, for the overwhelming part, 2 weeks from now are going to be naturally inoculated with the antibodies, and they're going to get on with their life. It's just as good as those 8,000, 3,000, 2,000, whatever, had gotten inoculated or vaccinated. So it's going to take governments to change the way, because right now it's like a knee-jerk thing. As soon as the media announces from the reporting agencies, oh, we got 3,000 cases, the immediate thing is, okay, let's see how we can do a lockdown. How can we tighten things up? And again, like I said before, that hasn't worked in 15 months. So why keep doubling down on it? And again, the perspective has to change. I've actually seen like these campaigns that act as if we all do our part, we can beat COVID. We can win COVID. No. Maybe in a, like one person commented on my channel. He said, well, he started his argument with, well, if everyone got, vaccinated. And I'm like, well, if everyone had 50,000 in the bank, there'd be no poor people.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure. In a perfect world. Yeah. And again, if you vaccinated 100% of the planet, which is like over 7.5 or so billion people, that's going to kill a lot of people just from the vaccine. So no matter how you slice it, since we can't change COVID, we have to change our perspective of how we interpret it and how we respond to it. And when I say we, I mean the governments. That's the only thing that's going to really change reality.
I agree 100%. 100%. I think that the perception is everything, and people's perception has been swayed tremendously by propaganda. Not only in Thailand or the Philippines or in America, but across the world, really.
Yeah.
It's been a just sad debacle of propaganda, and much of it is either highly extreme hyperbole or really exaggerated truths, made, in my opinion, for fear mongering. And that doesn't seem like the best approach, because when people get really, really scared, like people that have nothing to lose or that feel like they have nothing to lose nothing, right?
Yeah,
so
they go nuts.
yeah, I mean, exactly. They do whatever they want, and they don't care about the consequences. So why put people in that frame of mind? You know what I mean? That's something that just drives me loony a little bit, because I don't understand why people would allow themselves to be taken into and absorbed into that frame of mind, when there are so many, like you said, when the chances of surviving are so good, because according to the, I don't know if you want to say anything about that story, but I'll leave that alone. According to your story, you should be good to go, right? So it's just a question that I repeat over and over in my head, and I really just can't seem to for some reason, I can't seem to answer it, and I can't seem to get anybody's head wrapped around the idea of, excuse me, let me block some of your trolls on here.
Yeah. They can't live without me, but I get along fine without them.
Yeah, I know. The same thing here. I saw the guy that was going to build the boat and make his living in the Philippines with the boat, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe you had the audacity to show your toothless face on here. But anyway, Robert B., hello to you, sir. Glad to see you. Another man, some of the good old trolls on here. I'm telling you, boy.
Well,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
We had talked about, we kind of covered like what's going on Thailand, Philippines. I'd kind of like to just share a little bit about what I've observed here in the United States. California. Please. I can tell you what I see here in Southern California anyway. Again, I'm not traveling all over the United States. But from what I see now on the news here and what I see when I go out into town, it's funny. In my local town, which is kind of a smaller town, it's mostly minorities. It's mostly, blacks, Hispanics, a couple Asians. Actually, there's one of my favorite sandwich shops is run by a Cambodian family here. Really cool people. Now that's in my town. Only 20 minutes, I guess that would be south or southeast. I don't know, I got kind of confused. But anyways, just 20 minutes from here is another city, and it's primarily like upper class white community, Now, when I go into town to the Walmart and restaurants and Sizzler or whatever here in my town, I would say that about 70 to 80% of people are wearing a mask, which means roughly 20-30% are not. Okay. And nobody says anything about it. Nobody's worried about it. Nobody's getting dirty looks, because the rule here in California, at least, is if you've been vaccinated, mask is optional. Okay. Which again is a perfect example of just needing something to point at, because a mask does not keep a microbe from getting inhaled into your lungs. So anyway, so that's the situation in my town. Now you skip over to the next town, which is again primarily upper middle class, white community. I mean, it was kind of funny. I was there with my mom. She goes, "Where's all the Mexican people?" It's just all mostly white people. And over there, it was like 90% are not wearing a mask. Okay, so it just kind of shows a difference in, again, the presumption is you're not wearing a mask because you got vaccinated. So what we could take from that is either the majority of people in the other city have gotten vaccinated, so they're doing without the mask, or you could take from that the minorities, who are mostly made up here in my city, are still worried about COVID. They're again they're just listening to news sound bites, and they're just sort of like, well, I'm going to wear the mask even if I have been vaccinated, kind of a thing. So there's a difference just in the two cities next to each other as far as who's wearing masks and who isn't. Now, what I've noticed, again, I'm a foodie, so I noticed these changes. Right. I just went to Mountain Mike's Pizza, which, by the way, if you're ever near, there's only 7 locations, but Mountain Mike's has some of the best pizza on the planet. Really good. And so I just went there this afternoon and noticed that my previous visit, like 2 weeks before, their salad bar was closed. Now their salad bar is open. Same thing at Sizzler. Starting like a month ago, they opened up the salad bar, And so I'm seeing like more loosening, little bit. It's the opposite of Thailand and Philippines. Right. Every few weeks, like about 2 weeks after I got here, which was mid-April, they opened the movie cinemas. Movie cinemas had been closed before I got here, and then 2 weeks after I got here, not that I was the relevant factor, but I'm just saying, next thing you know, the movie theaters are open again. So here, my 2.5 months or so that I've been back in the United States, I see things opening up.
Right.
loosening up. I don't have on hand what the vaccination percentage is. Maybe somebody can Google it here for United States, what the vaccination rate is right now. But if you want to look for something positive, on the one hand, yeah, things are, like I said, we got salad bars. We've got 100% capacity now at restaurants. No more of this 50% capacity
That's
stuff.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I just attended my son's wedding out in San Juan Capistrano last weekend. So for those of you who were wondering why I was wearing a suit, so and it was, nobody wore a mask. Now they did ask, hey, it'd be nice if you got vaccinated, but nobody wore a mask. Everybody, it all worked out fine. But contrast that with a year ago in the United States. You couldn't do weddings, you couldn't do funerals, you couldn't do a lot of stuff. But now, again, things are opening up. But to balance that out, when it comes to immigration, any United States citizen, to get back into the United States, you have to either show a negative COVID test to get into the country, or if you had COVID, you have to show that you did isolation and then a doctor's certificate stating that you no longer have any detrimental effects, or because the infection period is only 6 to 8 days. But
Right.
and once you have those two items, which was required of me, because again, according to them, I had COVID.
Right.
But that's what you'll need to get back. So none of that has changed. So in that regard, getting into the United States, even as a citizen, you're going to need to show a negative test result. But I will say that it is opening up. I wouldn't say it's fully back to normal, but if you didn't watch the news at all, you could go about your business and you would only wonder why maybe 10 to 20% of people are wearing a mask. I mean, there's a lot of businesses fully back open. Sadly, some of those businesses went bankrupt during the 2020.
That's what's happening here now. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just not going to bounce back.
Right.
One of them, again, me being a foodie, was the Cheesecake Factory. They're done. I mean, maybe somebody will bail them out. I don't know, but they're done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The Cheesecake Factory is like one of my favorite places in the world, baby.
Well, hopefully somebody bails them out, because they threw in the towel. So did a lot of, in fact, several hotel chains were shutting down, and their only other option, this was last year, cities were going to major hotel chains and saying, well, tell you what, and it was, again, it's just weird semantics. The city was going to the hotel franchises, big ones, and saying, well, since we have all these limitations and you can't operate your business, and you got a big empty building with a whole bunch of rooms in it, why don't we just move in the homeless and the COVID people, and we'll give you like a cut rate of what you normally earn. So you're congregating a whole bunch of homeless and sick people in this building. And
Right.
I'm scratching my head thinking, wouldn't it be safer to just have people who have tested negative do ordinary business there? So it's mind numbing how stupid the solutions start rolling in. But I can say for the United States, it has been kind of easing up.
That's wonderful news. I talk to my dad a lot, who is in Florida. He's on the other side of the country, but and he says the same thing. Things are really loosening up over there, and I believe the reason things are loosening up over there is because they do have the Mike just put up a tab that says U.S. vax rate is about 50%. So.
Okay.
50%. That's a pretty good number. Pretty good number. Rory makes a good point here too. If I can get his comment to pop up here, let's see. There it is. Many good restaurants in Pattaya are closed. They don't make enough money on takeaway food. See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
With the alcohol ban being in place, most of these restaurants in places like Pattaya or in Bangkok,
known for their food.
yeah, exactly. They're not people aren't exactly going there for just the food, right? So, they make their money primarily on selling alcohol and with their meals and that kind of thing. So it's just a creep. It's like a slow creep out of the hole that we were in, and I think that the U.S. came out of that hole a little bit quicker than we're going to see Southeast Asia come out of that hole. That's a prediction based on my experience, not based on any scientific evidence. That's just
I think there's two things that support what your gut instinct is telling you. One thing is, for instance, in Vietnam right now, they just did like a 30-day quarantine type thing, very strict. And then now it's like part of that is like no restaurants are open. It's pretty much you got to go to the grocery store and cook your own food, kind of a thing. So the thing is. The difference with the United States that you have to keep in mind is that in Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines, all that, people consume, but it's because they have to. People go to the mercado and they buy fruits and vegetables because they need food that day. Okay. In the United States, for being one nation, we're like a nation of spenders. Money burns a hole in our pocket. Yep. So we're not just going and getting fruits and vegetables and a little bit of chicken. We're still on Amazon buying stuff all day long.
That's right.
So we're bouncing back a little faster, I think, because we're essentially a consumer nation. I think that's a big part of it. Whereas in Southeast Asia, like I said, they're not that way. I mean, there's not a whole lot of luxury money to be thrown around. Now, when the isolation decree was made about, I don't know, I think it was about a week or so ago there in Vietnam, right away, a lot of business owners just figured out, well, shoot, we're not going to get any customers. We need to go back to the province. We need to go to our relative's house. And same thing happened in Thailand.
Exactly.
You got dentists, plastic surgeons, you got optometrists, shutting down their doors, going to their relatives in the province, because at least they can grow some chickens and some papayas and whatever.
Exactly.
Can't do that in the city.
That's right.
That's why I think the bounce back is faster in the States than it is in many of the Southeast Asian areas.
And to that point, I want to make mention of one other thing. One thing people don't understand about how these lockdowns impact, which is directly related to what you're talking to about people going back home where they can grow food and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When they announce these lockdowns, whether it be in the Philippines or whether it be in Thailand or anywhere, so the people know that the lockdowns are coming. They know they're going to be out of a job. What is the most logical things that they're going to do? They are going to go home to their province before the lockdown begins, right? And many of them are infected. Mm-hmm. And as they go back to the province, then you get a spread.
A spike.
A spike, exactly. And that's why you see the number of cases really increase. You really do. You see the number of cases increase. And like I said, I just read the numbers. Numbers don't lie. I even read a projection that, I think about 10 days ago, I read a projection that said Thailand's likely to see 10,000 cases in a week, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we saw 10,000 cases within not the day of the release, but the next day. And now it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't change. I don't, it seems like it just makes things worse. And I wish people's perspective would change on that. I wish people's perspective would be, okay, this is something that's in the air. I can do my hand washing, if you want to wear a mask, that's fine. I can do the things to take care of myself and take care of my family until the jab arrives. At which point I will be safer, right? And it seems that I have a challenge out, but I don't know where it is.
Hmm.
Lyle, did you put out a challenge? What is that? What is that all about? Did I miss something? I may have missed something.
Is that where you dump ice water on your head or something?
No. Oh, here it is. Here. No, this is. I was telling you. Sometimes my guys put out money challenges.
Oh.
And I allow them to, because right now it's a very difficult time, and I appreciate this channel. This channel loves me, and I love them very much. Lyle's put out a challenge, so let me just mention this real quick, Reekay, and you stay as long as you want to on the live stream, okay? Whenever you're ready to bounce and you're ready to go to bed or whatever it is you want to do, we'll continue talking. But Lyle put out a challenge that says, challenge, get $60 US in PayPal or Cash App, and I'll throw in $20 more. So that would be an $80 day for DoMoreLife, and I would be very, very, very happy about that. That would really, really, really improve my stress level.
Now you have do you have your PayPal link there where people can find it easily, or?
Yes, I have it pinned to the top of the screen. It's also in the description below. So is the Cash App. As a matter of fact, I will run the Cash App tag along the bottom of the screen. People really like to use Cash App for some reason these days. I didn't even know about it until recently, and there's the Cash App tag, which I'll probably be changing. Yes, that's a reference to a Boeing 747-8. If people wonder why I put that as a Cash App tag, it's because when I started in photography, I was an aviation photographer, and that's I'm fascinated by airplanes, so that's that's the reason for the Cash App tag. Thank you, Lyle. Again, love you, man, as always, for starting a challenge. And Reekay, don't be surprised if we don't get periodically interrupted here, as he's put out a very reasonable request for 60 US dollars PayPal or Cash App, and then he'll put in another 20. So we'll see if we can get that going. What Mike is referring to when he says chicken dance is we made about $250 one day on PayPal on here, and I literally got up and did the chicken dance to get that money. But hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? In the meantime, though, let's see. So all these guys that my moderators, keep an eye on the chat, because I'm hiding more people than okay. They're already on it, so that's good. Chain Noise. Well, let me read Philthos' comment first. It says, thinking back to Legionnaire's disease in the 70s, will be interesting to see if there's any infectious residue to these places used for the warehouse, sick and homeless. So I think he was referring to your comment there, Reekay, about the
hotels being
about the hotels and stuff. So now I think that's what he was getting at. We go back over to StreamYard here and get that. Let me find that comment so I can change comments, because there's some other comments I want to put up. Maybe we could help answer and discuss a little bit. Let's see. Chainoy says, I didn't know that you liked aircraft, Jeremy. I liked it so much I became a flight attendant. I thought about going back to the U.S. and becoming a flight attendant. I thought, what a way to travel, right? Because traveling is kind of in my blood. It may take a little while for me to get to where I want to be, like to be able to be an international flight attendant. But that's not ultimately my goal in life. My goal in life is to be able to do media and photograph, video, that kind of thing, and earn a living doing it. I don't care about being rich. I just care about being comfortable in life, and that's kind of where I stand on all that. So anyway, I have seen I hate seeing people in the state of what I call perpetual depression. I've seen people in the U.S. go through it when everything first happened in the U.S. People lost everything in the U.S. They lost their businesses, they lost their houses, cars. I mean, I had family members moving in with family members, and it was a mess. And now I see that happening here in Thailand, and it's just not something I'm used to seeing, and I don't know how to help other than to do live streams and to talk about the news and what's going on, that kind of thing. So I don't know what was your like mental process when you were in the Philippines and you were going through all that, I can't go here, I can't go there, I can't do this, that kind of thing. What was how did you keep yourself sane basically during that period of time?
Well, it was kind of a combination of two things, which were really one thing, which was my girlfriend. I mean, January 9th, 2020, I landed in Davao. And that night, V and I officially started what we intended, this is pre-COVID, to tour the Philippines. So we went to like 3 or 4 different Airbnbs there in Davao, spent some time with her mom and dad, and then we went up to Cebu. I think we went to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 3 Airbnbs, and then the 4th one was the condominium that we got for the year for the whole COVID time. And so once COVID hit and we started seeing our ability to travel get truly just limited big time, I pretty quickly, like within a week or so, I thought this is not going to end anytime soon. When I started seeing them already printing stickers to put on the floor and start putting up plastic things, I was like, yeah, this is going to drag on. This is not going to be over in the next week. So I very quickly had conversations with V to say, hey, this is going to last a while. We need to mentally it's going to be me and you, and we're lucky because that whole year, all the way into February of 2021, this year, when she went back to Davao and I came out here, for us, it was fantastic. I mean, we just focused on our relationship, and fortunately, we're like 2 peas in a pod. Right. I can only imagine guys who had some girl they hardly knew, moved her in, and then COVID happened, and then it turns out they just hate each other. I mean, that would be beyond the Odd Couple. That would be a living nightmare.
Right.
But to answer your question, the way I was lucky because I kept her spirits up. She kept mine up. We joke a lot. We talk serious when we have to, but we just both want a simple, happy life. And we wake up every day and say, it's a beautiful day. It could be pouring rain outside, and we still open the drapes and say, it's a beautiful day. And she's a very positive. So for me, I was lucky that I never got bummed out or depressed, or neither of us, complained like, oh, we can't go here, and oh, this sucks. I mean, we just don't talk that way. We finally were able to get to our sky deck because we couldn't even go there. We finally got to go to the sky deck. For us, that was a huge deal. We did a video on it, and that was like, man, now we can get out, get some fresh air. We got a great view, so we I'd get her some durian and we'd take it up there, and I'd sit upwind and she'd enjoy her durian and then she's a great cook. So, we would either I would show her a recipe that I knew, or she would look stuff up on YouTube, or she would make stuff that she normally makes because she usually did a lot of the cooking at her mom's house. And so it was just a constant, hey, let's start making our own spicy carrots, and let's do this and let's cook that and let's try this food. She even learned how to make chicken schnitzel all on her own. She totally surprised me because that's one of my favorite things. But she goes, I don't know what it's called. I was like, you made chicken schnitzel. How did you do that? And so for us, it wasn't a downer at all. We had as much fun as if we'd have been bouncing around, and we still got to go to Bantayan Island, back in December. Just had like the most wonderful vacation. And so to answer your question, I'm very lucky because she made it just so lighthearted. You know, it was a very positive thing. We never thought of it as like, oh, we're stuck in this room. It was more like every day. It was like, you know, hey, what do you want for breakfast? And oh, let's do this. And you know, oh, you're gonna work on your video. Okay, I'm gonna work on mine. And she had her channel that she's starting. And you know, it was always every day. It's kind of like, okay, what are we gonna get done today? You know, today we're gonna go for a walk, or today let's go out for barbecue, or today let's go out and get, you know, just walk around the mall and get exercise. You know,
Right.
we always every day had something that we're like, okay, this is what we're doing today. And some days the goal of the day was, you know what, let's just veg out, take a nap, watch some Netflix, and we'll get Grab to just drop us off some burgers or pizza, you know. So I was very lucky. I had no problem staying positive. And I even got to see Asia Unscripted Jason. You know, he was in the same building for a while, and got to hang out with Gio a bit. And, you know, and then I ran into viewers and ran into old friends I hadn't seen, because every time I would go to the mall, not every time, but many times I'd go to the mall, you know, there'd be Jesse or, you know, one of my other buddies. And so for me, it wasn't a hardship, you know, but I knew that meanwhile, through V's family, and again, we've been taking care of V's family financially, and you know, she talks to them every day when we were in Cebu. I know that in her area, you know, their neighbors were having really hard times. You know, they couldn't go to the one job they had.
Right.
I mean, some of them would go and try to sell, you know, like bags of calamansi or something. You've seen them at the stoplight, but you know, it's like other people had it way hard. I had, you know, and I kept telling V, I said, you know what, we have zero right. Me and you, we got zero right to complain. Right. Other people are really truly suffering through this COVID thing. We got nothing to complain about. You know, right. There's people that are having to send their kids to bed hungry. I mean, yep. God, that's got to be one of the hardest things to feel as a parent, that you can't feed your own kid. I mean, we're talking gritty reality here. So to answer your question, we were very fortunate. V made all of 2020 a joy, you know. So I was very fortunate.
That's a great story. It really is a great story. And I think the reason you know, it's always, I think the reason that I had a struggle myself with the situation, and why my perspective has been up and down, right, is because I'm not retired. I don't sit on I don't have regular monthly
passive income. Yeah.
I don't have enough passive income built yet to just sit and do this and do a few other things and say, you know what, I'm not worried about money. Only thing I have to focus on is my relationship. I do have a girlfriend. I have a great, wonderful girlfriend. But we don't have time to just sit around and, just like think about, it gets to both of us, because she wants to work and she can't work, right? And I want my job to go back to full time so that I can work. So it's been with the job situation. There was at one point in time where I didn't know if the job was even going to exist anymore. So I would have been looking for something else. Thankfully now, so my perspective has been up and down, Reekay. I love the way you handled it. And even better, you know, my goal is when I'm 50 is to be in a financial position so that I don't have to worry about money. I can take that out of the equation and know that everything is that part of my life is going to be taken care of. And I can just focus on the present. Like I can just focus on, you know, what's in front of me. And that, had that been the case this time, I feel like I would have been a lot less stressful. I would have been a lot less stressed out. I would have been a lot less up and down with the situation, as it were, because you know, we made it work, and we'll continue to make it work. but it's been, I don't know, it's just been because of the ever changing hope that Thailand publishes. You always think things are going to get better. You always think that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we wake up during the day, I work 2 days a week now. So when we wake up, there's really nothing for her to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing she can do. She does a great job, cooks my lunch now, so we save money, that kind of thing. Those are positives, but the main thing, as you said, that keeps me going is it could be so much worse. I mean, I remember, I don't know if you know this about my history or not, but I've told everybody, so it's not like it's not public information. But I was a full-blown addict for 10 years. I missed my entire 20s for a whole decade. I missed all that, and I remember taking 2 dumpsters and putting the lids together to cover me up from rain, right? And wrapping myself in bubble wrap from furniture stores so I could sleep at night. And I just think, I'm not there again. So there's got to be positivity in this life. The problem for me is I got accustomed to I was building all the time, building. I was saving, and things were just getting better and better and easier and more comfortable and that kind of thing. And when the situation finally collapsed a couple months ago with work, it was just like a big shake up to my system. And now I'm finding ways to shake that out. Thankfully, I've been able to surround myself with people, and this is a very important aspect of my life. I've been able to surround myself with people that are really positive and really want to help and really want to see they're successful. Therefore, they want me to be successful.
Yeah.
So I think bringing those people into my life has been probably one of the biggest things I could have done. I always tell people, if you take the average, if you're averaging characters, take the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's probably the person you are. So I've tried to change those 5 people that I spend the most time with, and see what happens. Mike's making some good. All right, for $250, I'll do the chicken dance. For $350, I'll do the Do More chicken dance. Bring it, Mike says. Lyle's talking about his challenges. He's saying, "Come on, guys, make it pay." So, for those of you that don't know, the challenge was $60 US, PayPal or Cash App, and Lyle would put in 20 more. So we'll get to that, and I'm going to get to the Thailand news. I'm going to let Reekay go. I've had him for an hour and 40 minutes now. Yes, Ross, you are correct. Ross says, I keep forgetting I can put these comments up here, but Ross says hanging out with positive people breeds positivity. And I agree with that statement 100%. Ross is one of those positive people that I tend to hang out with. But I want to say to the regular guys on my channel, just stay tuned. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to get into the specific Thailand news here. But Reekay, thank you so much for coming on, man, and always sharing the wisdom. I really, really genuinely appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure my audience appreciates the expertise that you have. A lot of people come on here and they ask questions about the Philippines, and I'm like, I can answer some of your questions, but it's been a little over 3 years since I've lived in the Philippines, so I'm not quite up to date. Nor, I only was there for 9 months, so it's not like I know the full ins and outs. Not like you spent, what, 6-7 years there?
9. Well, 9 years ago, I moved into the Philippines, and out of the 9, I spent 1 year in Vietnam. So 8 years, yeah, pretty much embedded
There
in.
you go. Well, you pretty much got the Philippines down.
Yeah, yeah,
Is my point. But really, man, thank you so much for coming on. I
yeah, yeah,
I
glad
can't
to.
say thank you enough. I truly appreciate it, and maybe we'll do it again in another
Yeah,
couple months. So
yeah, yeah,
reevaluate, see what we are.
yeah. Oh, and just as a closing thing before I head on out, I've still got some Mountain Mike's pizza waiting for me. Is Mike? You talk about hanging out with positive people and all that.
Yeah.
Again, Mike is truly an outstanding friend. And you know
He
that
is.
already.
Yeah.
And he's been to places where like you just talked about. I've been to those same places, maybe as bad or worse, not with drug addiction, but other things. And so I talked to Mike one time, and we were talking about how when you can talk to somebody who has been to the brink and hung their head over the edge and looked deep into the abyss with the thought of never coming back,
Yep.
you can meet somebody who has done that, they can relate to you. And that's why I really value my friendship with Mike. Because the thing is, yes, he's very positive,
Yep.
mind and everything, but he'll call you on your BS.
Yep.
If you're making an excuse for yourself, he'll call you on it.
Yep.
And that's what I need, is friends who will not let me make an excuse for myself. It's like, no, get off your butt, go out there, solve that problem. And that's what we need to hear sometimes.
100% agree. Same thing here. And when I was back in the States and going through the 12-step thing, I found myself surrounded by a ton of people that would call me on my BS. And that's really where I learned how to observe life around me for what it actually is. And yeah, I agree with everything you said about Mike. He's been a blessing, and will probably be a even bigger blessing as our friendship continues to develop. So
yeah.
definitely looking forward.
I'm just waiting for him to ship me a monkey. I'm still waiting on my monkey. I never get to have a monkey. But yeah, I'll catch up with you again. Maybe we'll message here later on. But thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Reekay, I appreciate it so much, man. And everybody be sure to check out Life Beyond the Sea. Reekay's got more videos than basically anybody I know. So you guys should not have a problem finding what you need for Reekay, that's for sure. My guys stay here. I'm not going anywhere. So Reekay, see you, buddy. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Catch you later.
All right, guys. So let's get into today. First of all, I want to remind everybody, Lyle has put out a challenge for $60 in PayPal or Cash App, and I can take these things out of my head now and talk to you guys like I normally do. $60 in PayPal or Cash App, and he's going to add 20 for an $80 day. Label friend Mike says, you label friends like this, as he gets it. Definition of friend will save your ass before they'll save your face. 100%, 100%. And Reekay's gone, but except for the monkey. Gotcha, man. Gotcha, 100%. I want to get into some Thai news and talk to you about just in general what's going on in Thailand, and let you guys up. Or let you guys be informed and know what's actually going on the ground here, because it's kind of rough, to be honest with you. I want to let you know what the government's thinking, where their heads at right now, and some of the things that they are doing. And also just want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in right now. We have just a quick announcement before I get into this. We have a new line group for channel members only. I'm going to leave that line group open to channel members only until the end of this month. After the end of this month, that line group may have an additional tier or an additional charge, like a PayPal charge to come into it. However, if you are a channel member before the end of this month, you will be grandfathered into the line group. So there's no reason that, in other words, like, you'll never be charged extra, because that line group's going to grow. We're going to have live streams on the line group. We practiced one the other day. So if you are not a channel member, I highly encourage you to spend $2.99. Go down, get the extra content that comes with the channel memberships, get the extra live streams, get the extra information, and join the line group. It's been a great success thus far. And I think that you guys would really get some value out of it, because we talk candidly in there. There's no politics or anything like that, but we talk candidly in there about travel, about the situation, what's going on, and all that good stuff. Filtho says, Thai news lately seems like SSDD. I'm not sure what the DD means, but I'll leave it at that. Ross has a good comment that says, I label friends as shrimps and crabs. Some push you while others pull you down. Good point. Very good point. And there's Lyle's actual challenge, 60 USD, and he'll throw in 20 more. So I'm pretty confident we can get $60, Lyle. I feel like we can anyway. 39 up and 24 down. Thank you, Reekay. Absolutely. We get some trolls from his channel and my regular trolls, and we got a whole bunch of action going on. And YouTube looks at the thumbs up, thumbs down ratio. At least people are watching. So hopefully this video gets some traction. But let me bring you up to date on what's happening. So today, as I said earlier in the video, in case you're just joining, 14,260 new infections. There were over 100 people who passed today, unfortunately. Filtho says, the line group is so popular that government is requiring us to hold fire drills next month. Safety first. That's a good point. That's a good point. And again, there's no guarantee I'm going to go to a paid system on that line group, but I just want you to know, if you're a channel member by the end of this month, you can have access to that line group. And if you're already a channel member, you should be. You should friend me on the Line app and be in that group. I think we have, at the current present state of this, we have 13 members in there, but we have about 30 channel members. So some of you guys are really missing out on the things in that line group. I would encourage you guys to become a member of that line group. Lots of good conversation, very healthy conversation as well. And Mr. Richard Cyphers has decided to start off the show. I appreciate him very much. He's always a guy that comes in and contributes when you need him. And I appreciate that, guys, more than you could possibly imagine. He says, great show again. And Mr. Richard has contributed 10 US dollars. 10 US dollars. So we are 10 down, $50 to go for Mr. Lyle. And I appreciate that very, very much, Mr. Richard. Very much, very much. And thank you to Lyle for throwing that challenge out there. Very, very good. I like Philthos' comment. That's very, very funny. Okay, let me let's talk Thailand for a second. Department head predicts COVID-19 could last up to another year. And I want to read from this for you guys so that you can kind of get an idea of where the government stands on this. They're standing in a spot between, one second, guys, 1 second. Cleaning out my nose because sleeping under an air conditioner sometimes causes it to be stuffy. All right. So this department, a department head has come in and said that, sorry, I got to clear an email here from something that has nothing to do with anything. Depending on the actions of the government, Lyle said I didn't because they wanted my cell phone number. Nope. Lyle, you create a line ID, not a cell phone number. Okay. You get a line ID, don't use your cell phone number. Do a line ID and give us that line. Friend me that line ID. You can message me on Facebook and I'll give it to you what my line ID is. And I'll send it to you. Look me up online on the app, right? In fact, I'll just post it in here for a second. So you can have it, Lyle. You can go and you can open line right now. Type that ID in, add me as a friend, and I will invite you to the group, bro. Panpon, good morning to you. Hello, it's nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by the chat. I appreciate it very, very much. Yes, thank you again, Mr. Richard. We do appreciate it. So, where are we at on the situation here? I'm going to leave my line ID up there for a few minutes for those of you that may be interested in joining the line group. Just make sure you're a channel member first. Depending on the actions of the government and the people of Thailand take, the Director General of the Department of Medical Services predicts COVID-19 could continue just a few months or drag on for another year. Director General Samsak Nkasil asserted that declaration in a recorded video message this week he made to thank the medical officials across the nation. In it, he said that many factors will affect our future and the future of the C-19 burst. Yes, Scott. Scott says Reekay was on. Yes, it was on. Okay, Lyle says he knows what it is. Good enough, fair enough. I will remove that message. Let me go back over here and remove my little message real quick. Looks like we're having some bandwidth issues with the picture there. Sorry about that, guys. But hello, Scott. Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. Let me remove that comment. In it, he said many factors will affect our future and the future of the COVID-19 situation within the borders of Thailand. If handled well, he believes that COVID could be wrangled under control in about 3 months or possibly as little as 1 month. But if improperly handled or if more problems and obstacles surface along the way, the COVID situation could stretch on for another year. Samsak also called for unity and support in his message, saying that all people from all sectors need to come together to overcome the challenges of COVID, even after a year and a half of dealing with it. He mentioned the imperative need for the Thai government to be proactive in enacting policies that directly and effectively control the proliferation of the infections and to contain outbreaks. Something the government has come under much criticism for recently as people lose confidence in the leadership's ability to combat the virus. The Director General also emphasized the need for residents of Thailand to be vigilant and committed to safety as the fatigue of an 18-month battle with COVID wears on. He called for continued mask wearing, social distancing, and following all requirements and restrictions for the safety of the general population. He acknowledged, though, that the citizens that were once willing to band together and accept restrictions for the greater good had now lost their patience and had grown restless and frustrated. And that is a point that cannot be overstated, because that's what I see on the ground here. I see a lot of people that have just lost their patience. and are extremely frustrated. And it's very, very painful to watch, to say the least. He concluded his remarks with a renewed commitment on behalf of the 18,000 members of the Department of Medical Services to work together with the people of Thailand to get through the COVID situation and to keep the Thai people's health and safety as their top priority, no matter how long it takes. And the source on that is the Pattaya News, even though I read it off of the Tiger. That's kind of where they're thinking right now. Also, there was a headline about one of the Ministry of Labor was talking about. Yes, Scott, I agree. But I'm not sure I would blah, blah, blah it. I would just say that it's something that we do need to learn how to live with, something that we're going to have to learn how to live with one way or the other. And hopefully, the perspective changes. That's what, it is what it is. Hopefully the perspective changes and people learn to cope with the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is it's not going away. That's pretty much it. And always mod Robert, no idea how you do that. Robert has like 10 computers that he keeps up at one time. So that's, he just mods. That's what he does. Oh, well, yeah, in that case, Scott says when I say, I keep forgetting I can put these comments up here in StreamYard. I don't usually use StreamYard, so that's one of the things. It says when I say blah, 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 I meant when governments speak on what we need to do. Yeah, so I'm kind of over the whole, what we need to do being told to us by government. I'm kind of over that whole thing myself, Scott. It's at this point, it's not that I don't believe the government's. It's not that I don't believe that they're right or wrong. That's not the issue. It's just that I'm tired of being told what to do by any government. It's not just the government here in Thailand. It's not the government in America. It's just governments in general. I look at it like this. I don't come on here and tell you guys how to travel around Thailand unless I have the experience of traveling around Thailand, which I do. I don't have I've never been to Phuket, so I'm not going to give you a video on how to travel Phuket. And the governments of the world, Scott, you're fine, man. Don't worry about it, dude. It's no problem. No problem at all. I was just clarifying. And yes, StreamYard is free for a certain number of hours. But the governments come on and they will say things like, you need to do this, this, and this. When the truth is, they don't know they don't know what we need to do, because everything that they've done up to this point, this is not a Thailand specific reference. I'm talking in general, hasn't worked. The vast majority, especially in Southeast Asia, it just hasn't worked. Their thought process hasn't worked. Their strategies haven't worked. These continual, perpetual lockdowns and watching people just plummet into poverty is not working. So we have to do something different, is my point. Have to do something different. If you are here in Bangkok, I just want you guys to understand that there is the Bang Sue station has a setup there, and you can literally get a walk-in appointment, but go to their website and check it out first, especially if you're 60 plus. This is for, if you're under, you have to wait, but if you're 60 years or older, you can go there and get a jab at the Bang Sue station. That's where I got my jab last week. And you guys kind of know, if you want to see what getting the jab was like. I got the AZ jab. Go to my Instagram. The link is below. It's just jeremy.clodfelter. That's my Instagram account. Go there, and in the stories below, right? You can see the last one was me getting the jab. You can watch the whole thing about the process of getting the jab, and then the 20 hours of side effects I had after the jab, and then how they went away. You can look at all that. Okay. James says exactly. They themselves are clueless. Yeah, but I mean, and again, I'm not blaming the governments because of it, because they've never been through this situation before. They don't know how to handle it. But after they've tried so many times, you learn from your mistakes. That's just kind of how life works, right? You learn from your mistakes. So we here seem to be continuously doing this pattern of doing the same thing over and over and thinking something's going to change. Nothing's going to change until the vaccines are in people's bodies. That's just the bottom line. I mean, the time for containment's over with. I've talked about this 100,000 times. Elephant in the room is they're getting their salary while they lock everyone else down. That's a fair point, Scott. That's a very fair point, and it drives me crazy sometimes to think about that, because I am one of those people who is on a partial furlough right now, and living off half of your salary in Thailand is difficult. Thank God for this channel, and thank God for the people that support me on this channel, or that supports this channel, period. Filto says, time for the Thanos solution. One snap does it all. Yeah, I know, right? And Robert says, yes, Scott, none of us talk at all. None of that talk at all. That's very true. Yep, that's right, Barry. You certainly can. Jay's got a good point here. He says, you got 40 likes but 25 dislikes. I guess that counts as 50. Not quite. I want 50 thumbs up. The dislikes are from trolls, and I'm so glad they were on here today. That's great. We get the views. We get the time from it. I got to see some trolls that I haven't seen in a long time from the Philippines. I love the fact that I still rent space in their head. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Scott says, Asia unscripted left Vietnam due to not getting his salary for 2 months. Ooh, he hasn't said anything about that, so I'll leave that to him if he wants to bring that up. There was an article that came out that said this is going to be a controversial article. By the way, Law has a challenge out, guys, for $60 US in PayPal or Cash App, and he will match it with 20. So far, we've gotten 10, so we only need $50 more to go to get Lyle to pay his 20. And I appreciate Lyle very much for throwing that challenge out. A leaked document. This is from, it's on the Tiger, but the source is Coconuts. So I'm going to read you this. It says, military arranging private mod vaccines. Mod is abbreviation for the name of the vaccine, as I do not speak the actual names of them on here. A controversial and unconfirmed leaked document appears to show that the Thai military attempted to get mod jabs for themselves, while the rest of Thailand only had access to the Sino and later AZ jabs. Thank you very much for the $5 PayPal, Mr. Ryan. I appreciate that. I will show you guys that as soon as it pops up via email here. There it is. We're getting closer, Lyle. We're getting closer. Chipping away a little bit at a time. Let's see. I won't put his last name up. I'll just say his first name is Ryan, and there is the $5. So we're now $45 away. $45 away. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Can't say I appreciate it enough. But going back to this, it says the document seems to be of the military requesting a private supply of the mod jab. Oh yeah, we had $3 from Mr. James Mr. James A. Mr. James A. had $3 in there too. So we're actually, what have we gotten? $15, $18 so far. 18 from 60 is what, 42? So we're $42, $42 away from making Lao pay. We can get that. We can get $42. I know we can. We always come through here. Let's see here. Scott says Unscripted said it himself on his last video of Vietnam. He's in Utah now. Yeah, I talked to Jason. Chat with him, not necessarily on a regular basis, but enough. And you can't call it a that S word. YouTube has a problem with that, so therefore I have to abide by it. Scott, I'm really sorry. Please don't be offended that I removed your message, because you could say that to me all you wanted to, but you can't say it on this channel. Yes, and thank you again, James, for your contribution. $3 is $3. I mean, that's probably more than this video will make on AdSense. So thank you very much. Let's see. Scott says $42 away is what we should be, or is it 48? I don't know. Lyle, help me out. I got sidetracked. Yeah, no S word there, Scott. No worries, but no S word there. Let me go back and look real quick so we'll know where we're at on this challenge, because this challenge is important to the channel for sure. So we have $3, $10, and $5. That's $18. If you take 18 away from 60, you get 42. 42. So we need 42 more dollars to make Lyle pay his $20. And we will be sitting on a $80 day for DoMoreLife, which would be extraordinarily helpful and much, much appreciated. I did not know he had said that, Scott, on his last video. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. So I'm glad he's out of there and doing his thing. Partial furlough. Yes, partial furlough, Scott says, that indefinitely. As of right now, it's going to be until November, or until schools come back. And schools coming back is not looking like any even remote possibility before next semester, which would be around the November timeframe. It's going to be a difficult time. That's why I'm going to be later today. In fact, tomorrow, when you look at the live stream, you're probably going to see a lot of people. Your audio is coming out twice, like your mic is picking up your speakers. Is it doing it now? I think I figured out what the problem was there, James. Let me know if it still happens. Okay. I had my headphones plugged in still. My apologies. Audio is okay. Okay, good. Two windows. Okay. All right. So I'll get back to your question in 1 second. Let me roll back up here. Lyle says 32 people in the chat. That's $2 each. There you go. I love the way you think, Lyle. Little small increments from a lot of people, and many hands make light work. That's what my dad used to tell me. Good thinking, Lyle. Filtho says 42, of course, being the answer to the ultimate question about life, the universe, and everything. I like that. I really like that. Yeah, we're looking at least November, Scott. So, it is what it is, man. I really don't know. I've looked at other options, and now that the dark red zones seem to be doing their, having all these restrictions and stuff, and you can't leave from dark red zones. It's very difficult to find work in other places. So it is what it is. Let's go back down. What do you have next? What are your foreign coworkers planning to do? We're all doing the same thing, which is looking at getting online teaching jobs through like the Chinese-based companies, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm getting ready to do, which is what I was going to say tomorrow. When you see these white walls, they'll probably have Teacher Jeremy and pictures and maps and everything on there, because I'm setting up my virtual classroom today and doing demos for the afternoon for some of these online teaching schools. And got to do it, right? Have to do it. I would love to just be able to do YouTube for the second stream of income, but it doesn't always produce. And at least I know if I'm teaching, I'll be getting paid. So, although I'll always have this channel around, it's not a problem. I had 2 windows. Okay, that's good. Robert says that 2 Jeremys are better than 1. I don't know about that, Robert. I think there are many people that would disagree with that statement, but that's okay. It's all good. I also want you to know that the situation in Bangkok has gotten so desperate, according to the media, that they are now withholding intubation for certain older Thammasat hospital patients. So this particular hospital has been, and Barry Smith, welcome. I haven't said hey to you, but hello. I'm glad you're in the chat here, man. So Thammasat University Hospital, overwhelmed with infections, has decided to implement a fatal withhold incubation rule for patients over 75 years old with severe conditions like incurable cancer and AIDS. The hospital is experiencing an extreme shortage of ventilators and together critical life-saving equipment, and was forced to make the tough decision that will inevitably lead to unnecessary deaths. It says the hospital is stressed to capacity, and even the overflow field hospital hosts 392 patients, 50 of which are children. Plus the 300 patients the hospital is tasked with caring for in home isolation. Even after sending those 300 patients home in an attempt to free up resources and medical personnel, critical life-saving equipment is severely limited in supply. So that's kind of how bad it's getting here, to be honest with you. Lyle says, I'm disappointed. I wanted to see the troll's head explode. Well, we're not good. The live stream is not over, Lyle. We're only $42 away from your meeting your challenge. And if we don't meet it today, I'm sure we'll meet it tomorrow. It's no big deal. I would love to see the troll's heads explode myself, but the fact that I'm still on the air after everything they've tried to do to me is reason enough for me to stick around. JX says, unfortunately, I'm noticing more English teachers are heading back home. My neighbor just came back from Vietnam. She wasn't getting paid either. That's terrible. Sorry to hear that. Scott's in Korea. I have my best friend is in Korea, and she's getting paid too. Scott. So I'm glad you guys are getting paid. Filtho says, then after class, hit the secret button and the disco ball drops down and the dancer poles pop up and ground music starts. That would be awesome. Yeah, Scott, you were hoping he would come there. He's a good dude. He's a really good dude. Filtho says, and then chicken dance. Not for $80. Filthos. Can't do chicken dance for $80. That's just setting the bar too low, man. Come on, give me some credit, bro. Chicken dance is like $250 or above, right? Something like that. But yeah. Continuing on. Lau, hit your people up in the chat for the $42, and we'll we'll call it a day here. So there's an online, if you want to travel in Thailand right now, this is what I was talking about earlier. You can actually register. Those traveling between provinces, especially from dark red zones under maximum control, are advised to fill out a registration form online for permission to travel. A QR code will then be scanned by relative authorities at checkpoints. They have a link where you can click to register a registration form in English. Many interprovincial transportation services in dark red zones, including Bangkok and surrounding provinces, are suspended until August 2nd. The state-run bus company recently announced it was sending routes to abide by the government's order for those in the high-risk areas to avoid interprovincial travel. The Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand also announced that domestic flights from dark red provinces are suspended until August the 2nd, with the exception of medical service flights and connections for those traveling under the Phuket Sandbox or Samui Plus reopening schemes. And so far, the dark red zones are as follows: Bangkok, Nakhon Pathom, Nonthaburi, Samut Sakhon, Samut Prakan, Pathum Thani, Yala, Pattani, Songkhla, Narathiwat, Chonburi, a big one that starts with a C that I can't say, and Ayutthaya. I don't know. I can never say that one right either. But it's the one directly north of Bangkok that you guys know. So, Lyle, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the trolls' heads to explode today, but that's okay. We will try again tomorrow, my friend, if you want to. 18 infections today in Phuket, creeps closer to 90 a week threshold. This was yesterday. Let's see. I'll read that for you in just a second. Barry says, Kanchanaburi shut its bus station this morning, not even the dark red zone yet. Yeah, and that's that, like we were talking about earlier with the fear mongering and the, preparedness. Some people call it being proactive. I'm not sure that at this point it's being proactive, but it is what it is. Can't really change anything, and we're hoping that Thailand kind of sees the light and let some of these places reopen very soon. So let me read this last article, and Lyle will give time to see if we can get those $42 in. And if not, thank you for throwing out the challenge, and I appreciate it very much anyway. But we'll get this last article in. Today saw an infection spike in new local cases in Phuket, crossing the daily average number that threatens the future of the sandbox scheme. Officials had laid out several factors that could cause the sandbox to be reconsidered or even canceled. Chief among them was if, whoa, dude, Reekay, who was just a member of the stream here, has just thrown in a $50 super chat. Reekay, thank you so much, my friend. Very, very, very much appreciative of that. That's going to go a long way to help in next month's AdSense. So thank you so much, man. Thank you, Reekay. I really, really appreciate that. And thanks again for coming on, man. Thanks again for coming on. I really, really, genuinely appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to come on, and I'm glad you were able to provide the information you provided. It really helped out a lot. I'm sure people are going to be tuning in to see what you had to say at the beginning of the live stream for that reason. So it takes a while for that $50 super chat to go down and to be completed, just so you guys know. So I'll stay on the air a little bit longer. And Lyle, who knows? Maybe your PayPal challenge will get completed as well. But Reekay, thank you for making the troll's head explode. I do appreciate that, brother. And that's very, very, very generous of you, my friend. And I really appreciate that very, very much. And with that comes Lyle's. Lyle has already committed that he would contribute $20 to the fund, and so via PayPal, Lyle has now contributed $20 to. Hang on, it's coming. $20 to the PayPal fund. So we only need $22 more via PayPal, and we'll have the PayPal challenge for today. Some of you are saying, but Jeremy, you just got $50 in Super Chat. Yeah, Super Chat. That's next month's money, which we really appreciate. And thanks again, Reekay. That's a lot of money, bro. And I really appreciate that very, 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 very much. And I appreciate you coming on today as well, because that's certainly going to help out the channel tremendously. It's always good to collaborate. One thing that Mike has taught me is rather than fight, it's better to collaborate with people, and I agree with that 100%. And since you and I have Mike as a friend in common, I agree. So there's Lyle's $20, and he said with a note that says thanks, Reekay, as he put that up there. And great day all the way around here for DoMoreLife. Really appreciate that. I definitely want to finish reading you guys the article here. Can't say thank you enough to Reekay for that. That's a tremendous amount of money, and I really genuinely appreciate that, bro. So thank you very, very much. Going back to this, where was I at? The Phuket sandbox being in danger. I wanted to read this article to you because they had a goal, right? So the spike in local infections in Phuket crossing the daily average number that threatens the future of the sandbox scheme. Officials had laid out several factors that could cause the sandbox to be reconsidered or even canceled. Chief among them was if weekly infections crossed over 90 people a week. Today saw 18 new local infections as well as 2 new sandbox arrival infections, and to hit the 90-person threshold requires just an average of 13 infections a day. The rolling weekly total is inching up with 56 new COVID infections in the last 7 days, after dropping to just 1 infection on the 18th and climbing steadily each day since. For total cases that arrived as part of the Sandbox program, the Tourism Authority of Thailand and the Public Relations Department of Phuket stated that there have been 21 Sandbox infections. So at the same time, rising infections are closing the locations for safety, including the Phuket Airport office building, which closed from today through the weekend to be thoroughly sanitized. The Phuket Municipality office will do the same today and tomorrow. Splash Jungle Water Park in Macau was scheduled to reopen tomorrow, but has further postponed that date to observe C-19 safety precautions to try to control the spread of the virus. So it's still going on, and there's still people coming, but they're having problems keeping people here. Let me see if we've already got that good. I'm glad that was gone. Glad everybody got rid of that comment. And I do apologize for the blurry video, guys. I'm hoping when it uploads that the video won't be so blurry, because it's not blurry at all on my end at all. Filthos says but it is. Yeah. We're not worried about that, Troy. I hear that all the time when you have to rely on other people. It's time to go home, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you don't have anything to go home to, it's not going to do any good to go home, you moron. But anyway, I think Filthos had something on that too I wanted to add. Hang on. Let me show this one. Never saw a tan troll before. That's funny. Funny. I need to change my frame rate. You very well may be right, Ross, but I don't know how to do that in the midst of all of this good stuff going on. So, basically, I'll just leave it at this, and I'll just say that, did we get 50 likes yet? Yes, Robert, I am home. That's a very good point. Very good point. I am home. This is my home. It's become my home. We actually need 4 more likes to get to 50. That would be awesome. Yeah, I don't know how to change the frame rate right in the middle of the stream. Unfortunately, guys, I apologize. But it's not okay. Lyle says it's not blurry in Florida, so maybe it's just on my end. And when it comes through, hopefully the video processes correctly and everything works itself out just fine. That's what we're hoping for. So I really hope that the video comes across well, because I definitely want to make sure that Reekay's part of the video is in there, because he always gives good information, and he's been doing so much. He's been doing this for so long and doing it so much. He comes across much better than I do on a live stream, and I have no problem admitting that. So it's it was just a pleasure to have him on today. So I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that. 22, 23 people watching. We're starting to fade away. Hey, 22, that's the exact amount of dollars that we needed to hit Lyle's goal for the PayPal. $22 more, and we would hit Lyle's goal for the PayPal. That would be freaking awesome, dude. And maybe on tomorrow's live stream, we can have we can reach a number that'll produce a chicken dance. I don't know. All right, so what's coming up, guys? We'll use this last few minutes for announcements, personal update, and all of that good stuff. So coming up, I don't have to work again because of the holidays. Hang on, let me put this comment up here from Filthos. He says, by the way, I usually don't like guests, but Reekay was cool. Reekay is very cool. Trust me, I chose to have him on for a reason. He is very knowledgeable and really does a good job of explaining things. And that's why I wanted him to come on and talk about the travel and the coping and that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens with this video in particular. Now, I do want to say 46 up and 28 down. That's a new record. Thanks, Reekay. I know, right? It's not a new record for thumbs up, but definitely a record for thumbs down during a live stream. I'm excited about that. And we blew the trolls' heads up again, which is even better. So, personal update. Here's where things sit. This month is taken care of in terms of me personally and the financial. I've got all the bills are paid, meds are good, no issues with the doctor. Pay is still at half my salary coming from work. I got the news that it's likely going to be half pay until November. I've got a little something coming in from home in addition to the YouTube channel that's going to help a little bit. So these live streams you will likely see next week. We will have either videos and or live streams pretty much daily because I don't have to work again until Friday. The reason for that is because my 2 days a week are to work are now Wednesday and Friday. And Monday and Wednesday are holidays here in Thailand. So I won't be working on the Wednesday that I would normally work on. I'll only be working on the Friday. So I have basically now until then to make as much content as possible, which is great because we want to get the channel get the revenue up as much as possible. I'm going to make some videos. I'm also going to be uploading videos to my Rumble channel to try to get some engagement and stuff started over there. Maybe we'll even have a live stream over there. I don't know. Possibly look at doing some stuff. For you guys that are in the line group, use the line group to your advantage. Okay, the only thing you got to do is be respectful. No politics, no religion, and that's it. Same rules that apply to what we talk about here on YouTube, is that you can actually talk about stuff in the line group. The way to get access to that right now is to become a channel member if you're not already. Channel membership is $2.99 a month, and it's super cheap, and you'll get some extra content for it. One day this coming week, I look at having the members only live stream, and we will do that. I'll let the members decide whether we should do that on YouTube, or whether we should do, which we still have to abide by community guidelines, or whether we should do that in the line group where we are a little more free to speak, so to say. So we'll see what happens with you guys there. I'm going to be applying. Oh, we got 49. We need one more thumbs up for 50 likes. One more thumbs up. Got 50, says James. Maybe I'm just showing one behind here. Maybe it'll pop up in a second. That's a good thing. 50 likes is always a good thing. This has been a long video. I did not intend for it to be this long, but that's okay. Final note on the personal update is I will be doing demos for different companies, different online teaching companies this week. The main goal for this week is to get an online teaching job. So YouTube will take a back seat to the demos and private tutoring that I may be able to do, or anything like that. If you guys know anybody that needs a private English tutor that wants to do Zoom calls online or something, right now I'm working for the cheap. So if you know anybody that needs English lessons or grammar or whatever, that's awesome. Ross says, you got more likes than my clam hunt video got views. Hey man, I started watching your clam hunt video and only made it through about a minute. I had a phone call, but be sure to check out Ross and Round's channel as well. He always has good stuff up there on his channel. And I guess we'll start to close it down now. So I just want to say tremendous thank you to Reekay for coming on and being such an incredible guest. And then, of course, with his contribution there, that's just freaking phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Law says, let's put this comment up. It says, I liked that one the other night. It gave me info that I asked about several months ago. Like, how has your time in Thailand affected you as a person? Yeah. That's something I could expand on as well. And that's actually a pretty good idea. I have a lot of video ideas written down. I just need to make the videos. That's the problem. So definitely thank you again to Reekay for both coming on and making just an absolute great informative live stream, and then for the huge contribution. Greatly appreciate that, bro. To everyone else, especially Lyle, I want to thank you for throwing out the challenge and your contribution. As always, Robert, thank you for providing the links for people to contribute. All my channel members, love you guys. If you're not a member of the line group, use my line ID and add yourself as just send me a message. All you have to do is send me a message. I'll add you as a friend and then invite you to a group if you're a channel member. Come in that group because we're very active over there. Very active. If I don't respond to messages in the line group immediately, don't worry. I'll get back to you guys. This week is going to be, even though I'm off work, it's going to be busy because I have a written goal for each day that I will accomplish each day to see that progress is made and I get to stay in Thailand. And let me be clear about one thing. If something happens and I have to move back to America, it's not a loss. You can view it as a loss. People will preach it as a loss. People will say, oh, he couldn't make it in Thailand. Oh, he couldn't make it. I will gain more in the knowledge of what I learned by being forced to go home than I will, or just as much as I will by staying, right? Here in Thailand. So either way, I'm going to learn and grow as a person. In other words, I can't lose in that situation. And you can't lose as a viewer, because one way or the other, I'm still going to be making content. And you're going to get to see and do things or journey along with me that you haven't seen or done before. So it's a win-win for everybody. That being said, thank you guys so much. We're going to have a live stream tomorrow at 9 a.m. I will do news updates. We'll talk about how the demo process went. Maybe we'll look at the virtual classroom around me. We'll talk about that for a little while. My channel members that are in the line group already, you guys are welcome to suggest content for tomorrow. I'm always open to hear anything you have to say. So put the content suggestions in the line group. I'm all open for it. All open for it. And with that being said, if you made a comment in the live stream today, whether you were a troll or not, I appreciate your dialogue. I appreciate I just appreciate everything being done the way it was done. Filtho says, plus a lot easier to build bankroll in U.S. for your triumphant return, whether to Thailand or elsewhere. That's a very good point, Filthos. Very good point. And that's another positive that can come out of it, right? So, either way, I'm going to come out a better person one way or the other, period. So, love you guys. Have a great night. Have a great day if you're on this side of the world. Thank you to my moderators for doing an excellent job. Thank you to my channel members for being channel members. Thanks again to Reekay for being awesome. And thank you to all who commented or had any kind of positive input in this chat. Love you guys. Whatever you do today, be sure you do more life. I will see you on the next one.